They said my phone's cutting out, so as soon as you get on, I need to hang up and dial in. So we welcome you to the show. And press 1, and that puts you into queue. And we'd love to hear from you. And what else is new? Let's see. We've done several things on the website. If you haven't seen the pictures of Heartland, the people that are wanting to use it in August wanted to see some photos of the buildings and property. And okay, somebody just texted me and said my phone seemed fine, so thank you very much. Okay, I won't call in then, I'll just wait. So, but I added a whole page out on the website. It's under, let me go out while I'm talking, multitask here. And so you can go out and you can look. If you've never been to Heartland, then it'll give you an idea of what things look like. It's under Heartland, and it actually, there's two things. One says Heartland Bell Tower. That was a project that Patrick Quinn actually got us started on a few years back. And so it's got pictures of from the beginning to the end. And then there's one that says Heartland Photos. And if you click on that, you'll see pictures of the Heart Center, pictures of each of the buildings, of the Bell Tower. And then there's pictures of different people working in the kitchen, lots of pictures of Ari, of course, because he was always part of the kitchen. And his presence, or the absence of his presence, will be felt this year when we start back up.
Bless his
he
heart.
Was there in, yeah, he was there in 2019, which was the last time that Heartland was open. Also, there's pictures of Julie and Patrick out there, and Patrick's moved on as well. But you can go out there and look at some of the different groups and the Heart Center, and the tiles were absolutely beautiful. There was a group, there's actually a picture of the group that participated in creating those tiles that year. And anyway, and a couple pictures of the property. So go out there and look at that. If you've never been to Heartland, or even if you have, you might see yourself in some of those pictures. And Susan texted me and said my phone sounded fine, so I'm going to stay with it. But welcome, Michael. And happy Valentine's Day, sweetie.
Yeah, you too, sweetie, and to everybody else. Holding a space for love to be present in every life on the planet. And yeah, your phone sounds just fine. So welcome, everybody. Honored and delighted that you're here. And we have the opportunity once again to expand this conversation about how to recover the truth of who we are as human beings. And a lot of times people talk about recovery, but they talk about recovery as though it's recovery from a disease. No, it's recovering the truth of who we are. That state of being active, present love that we're each designed to function out of. That's the bottom line of all that we do, although we say it 1,000 different ways because there are 1,000 different blocks in the mind to experiencing ourselves as the truth of who we are. But that's where we want to go. And Ms. Jean, do we have anybody in the phone queue with a hand up or anything happening in the chat room?
No, on both of those counts. However, I did get an email from someone, and it was a young lady who is going through a little bit of trauma, and I sent her the links for her to do a. I'm trying to multitask and get the email open as I'm talking. Anyway, I sent her the links to take a personal code evaluation, and several of the areas that were her top challenges she was in crisis in. And I sent her information, and she said, well, maybe I just need to wait and take it when I'm feeling better. And I said, no, I said, it's probably absolutely perfect. And I gave her the example of when we were in the midst of the COVID episode, and that it gave me the opportunity to look at fear that normally I would have pushed down and not paid attention to, and said, oh, it's, you know, I'm too ill to do this right now. Anyway, she wrote me back and she said, I disagree with you, and I think I need to retake it. So what would you say to a person like that? I have not responded back to her.
There's work to be done, and I would suggest that that she take the results that she got. I mean, literally, you could take it every day. You could say, well, I had this going on yesterday, so let me take it tomorrow, and then tomorrow I've got this going on. Well, let me take it until I get what looks like a great set of scores. I would suggest being settled with what's there and going for it. Yeah. Start to work with the assignments. Otherwise, the mind's going to try and figure it out, and you know the result of trying to figure it out. It just doesn't happen. So that would be my offering. So if you're out there in listener land, do you have a thought for us?
And then I'll duck.
Yes. Well, today being Valentine's Day, let's talk about functioning as love.
We had a hand.
Well, then let's put that on hold and let's go for the conversation.
All right. I think it's Miss Susan. Welcome, 610.
Hi. Michael, I sent you a video, and I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, a very short video. This is a Valentine's Day story. Our own Michael here, in his little walks in the park, has run into a group of women that I'm sometimes part of, but they usually walk later than I do. A group of about 6 women who have kind of taken him under their wing, looking out for him. And one of them knows a woman who runs a little, a small facility for old people in various states of, aging, some with dementia, some with physical problems, and so forth. And today being Valentine's Day, these women organized a lunch over there, made Valentines for all the people who live there, which is 24 people, and asked Michael for a fee if he would come and sing and play his guitar. And he was a little bit grumpy about it because that's kind of not a very flashy gig. But I said, Michael, they're paying you. You get yourself over there and you do it.
Yeah.
So he said, okay. He goes over there, and I, follow, and there he is, all set up with his little blind dog in a carriage with him, and he's bringing out all these oldies, Over the Rainbow and all kinds of oldies, and the people are sitting there swinging their heads around and sometimes singing and clapping a little bit with him, and they're talking to each other, and it's kind of a happy mess. But I could hear him, and it was just gorgeous, absolutely the most sweet thing. And the woman who was waiting on tables is the owner of the place, and she's like an angel. She's probably of Indian descent. And she comes to everybody and she pats them on the back and she says, what would you like? Would you like this or would you like that? And she had made them these little bags of M&Ms and cookies, all the bad stuff that we love so much. And it was just such a sweet thing. And so I wanted to tell you that our Michael got out there today and did a gig. And the woman said to me, he would be perfect for happy hours here. Maybe we could have him come in the late afternoon before supper and play for a while for us on
a regular gig. That would be awesome.
A regular gig. So I'm hoping that he'll just start getting a little confidence and initiative and getting out. But I thought I'd give a report today about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations to Michael. I'm going to send him a text and just say, I heard about your gig and how successful it was, and congratulations.
Oh, good idea. A little reinforcement never hurt. And they're paying him, a reasonable amount. And he helped me with the refugees right before that for a couple of hours, and he's very good at that. Runs around, washes all the cups, and he doesn't talk to anybody. And if it gets too hectic, he'll pick up his dog and run out and take his dog to the lawn for a little walk. But basically, it's been good. So anyway, that's a report. Happy Valentine's Day. Yeah.
Well, glad for Michael. Hope that opens things up for him.
I hope so too. Yeah.
So I'm not clear, did you attend the event?
Yes, yeah. I left a little early because I wanted to hear the radio show. But he's probably just finishing up now.
Well, that's a nice compliment for him that you went out of your way to go and be there for him, and we'll hold the space that he allows some of the barriers to break down and stands in receptivity and ready for some abundance. Valentine's Day, yeah. Opening hearts.
All right.
Sweet. Thank you for letting us know that.
You're welcome. I thought you'd like to see him in action too. The video clip is very short. I sent it as a message to you. I hope it came through. Maybe it didn't.
Cool.
Anyway.
I just looked. It is there, yes. I haven't looked at it yet. I was out working in the garden doing compost just before the show. So.
Oh, that's
But
good.
as soon as the show is over, we'll get to look at it.
Okay.
Cool. Well, anything else exciting in your world, on your mind? Last night it ended up getting late. We were going to watch your performance, and I had the words, but we didn't get to doing that last night, so we'll probably do that tonight too.
Oh, that's very
Or your woman caught.
Yeah. I've been feeling a little badly about the piece. It's not really suitable for a one-time shot as a sermon in the church. It takes some getting used to. It's not readily accessible on first hearing. You know, it took a long time for me to realize that, but so I've been feeling kind of a little down about it because I put in a lot of work to it, but it just didn't hit the mark. It performed and it's perfectly acceptable, but it doesn't really work. So,
well, probably it's something that people have to have brain cells for. Well,
and that may be just like even Tim Bingham, who has heard me practicing the piano part for a long time. He said, you know, I liked it, but I would really have to hear it several times before I could feel it the way it should be felt. And I thought, well, gee, he's married to me, he's in my house, and that's how he feels. That's probably right. It's probably right. So I've been dragging myself around with my chin on the floor, feeling a little badly about that.
You know, I have read through the words that you wrote to it, and I think it's just right on track. But again, somebody who's used to the traditional interpretation, it would take, yeah, I can understand how it would take time for them to get it, but I think I got chills reading it.
Oh, thanks. Well, I think the main objection is it's a recounting, and a lot of it is quoted from Scripture, a recounting of the story of how the woman was brought before the Pharisees and threatened with being stoned to death. And it's a lot of text, and it's done as an oratorio, which means there's no real acting, minimal acting, no costumes, no fancy lights or anything. It's to be a kind of a meditation, and I don't even call it a chancel opera on there. I call it, I think, a musical homily or something. But it's very text-heavy, and I spent a lot of time trying to set the words so that the words would be brought, you know, the way you put jewels in a crown. You want them visible,
right.
And they're
come
surrounded
forward
with a little. Yeah, I tried to do that, and I do like the piece, but I know it really well, and I chose everything that was in it, and so if I didn't like it, I wouldn't have put it on.
Yeah, I enjoyed the twist of, you know, he became my protector. He didn't judge me. He didn't, I forget what, he took two flip sides. He didn't condemn me, but he was my protector and put himself in the place to be attacked. I thought that was a very powerful way to say it.
Well, it's true, and that was, just think of it. I mean, they hated him anyway, and they were wanting to get a reason to get rid of him, and then he does this. He knows he's putting himself right on the chopping block. What a guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But he's certainly intellectually a 1,000 steps ahead of them.
Yeah, totally. So anyway, I've been feeling kind of low, and I know depression is part of the work we've been doing. I mean, you suggested some work, and I've been doing my wake-up sheets on itching and sore shoulders and things like that. And I'm in the healing crisis at the moment.
Well, it sounds like this one is more about rejection, the old message of not being good enough or capable enough.
Yeah.
So that would probably be the worksheet to do.
Okay. All right.
Well, we'll be holding the space.
Thanks, Michael. How was the rest
All
of your
right,
birthday?
It was good. We went out for dinner and just had a quiet evening. It was just a sweet day. And I think today, after we're finished the show, we're going to go out and rent a trailer. We've been waiting for Jeannie's stepson's truck, and that has been working. So we're going to get a trailer and get the rest of our compost for the new garden today.
Wow. That's
Got
great.
a gorgeous day. It's up to 67 and sunny. It's just beautiful.
Whoa. Yeah.
Really awesome day. So that's our plan.
Good.
Any other thoughts for you?
No, I'm going to listen. Thanks.
All right. We appreciate you.
Thanks. Appreciate you too.
Alrighty. Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Well, Miss Jeanie, I know yesterday we had 4 or 5 hands up toward the end, and we didn't get to everybody. So is there anybody else out there with a hand up for us? Or?
No, it is all quiet. So go for your love.
Okay.
Talk.
Let's go for it. So, with it being Valentine's Day, of course, Valentine's being about experiencing ourselves as love. There's a quote from A Course in Miracles. There's a lot of confusion around love, and even in the Course, you can see where the word love is being used to describe a state of being, what we are. Of course, I seek only love, for that is what you are. Pretty clear. But then in other places, the word love is used more like a verb. Like it's something we're going to get, something we're going to give, something we're going to do. And to me, that seek only love, for that is what you are is probably the most important clarification of terms and a set of instructions. We've talked about the power of words, and that we often try to use words to understand something, to grasp an experience, but we can only have the experience when we're alive in the moment and having the experience. You can't grasp it from someone else's description. And in a lot of cases, the words have been used as a replacement for an experience, especially when it comes to the experience of what's pointed out in texts like A Course in Miracles or in the ancient scriptures. And so words, if they're used to try to make something understandable as an experience, are going to fail every time. However, they can be used to give a set of instructions for how to have the experience. And oftentimes people try to make words do something that words just can't possibly do. Like we can hear that, seek only love, for that is what you are. Well, there's instruction set. It's not going to make you experience yourself as love, but it gives you an instruction to move in the direction of. So love, it's not a behavior trait. It's not a thing we can do. It's not something we can get. It's not something we can give to somebody else. It's our created essence. It's a state of being. So we have people running around the world, therefore, I love you, or I want you to love me. And if you get the real meaning of that word, or at least what it's pointing toward, it's pointing not toward something we're going to do or get or give, but it's pointing toward something that we are. So it's a noun, not a verb. Tell my mind to be loving. My mind tries, with the experiences and beliefs that it's acquired through 1,000 generations, to guide me to be loving. It's going to follow that goal. And the many bizarre behaviors of non-humans that have been done in the name of love are, they're legion. The parent who says to the child, I'm only beating you because I love you, is not functioning as a human being, is not functioning as love, but repeating a generational belief. Oh, this hurts me more than it hurts you. And is functioning out of a lie, out of an instruction in the mind that's based in a lie. So repeating the generational belief for something somebody's read in a book, and of course that particular non-being mind's definition of love is, well, the best way to love this child is beat them into submission. And you look at historically what's been done to children and young people. We've watched a few movies in the not too distant past where different religious organizations with the most wonderful of intentions express love toward a child, and the abuse and the beatings and the viciousness is just unbelievable, and it's all done, quote unquote, in the name of love. So when one shifts out of that false definition of it being something we'll do, then one's goal becomes to realize themselves as love, and they're to function out of love, literally to be love. A person who's got that as a goal could never get lost in the era of I'm only beating you because I love you. People who literally experience, because of the false definitions in the mind, experience love as, oh, I have to be hurt in order to experience that. Becoming aware that when one achieves a goal, they receive an internal reward. They get a hit of dopamine. It's been called happy powder. The abusive parent gets their dopamine fix, a chemically induced internal dose of pleasure, from achieving this insane goal of hitting the child. When I tell my mind that I am love and ask it to support me functioning as love, my focus is now on the place where I can experience love, my internal condition, rather than some definition from a book or from the past. So to recognize who we are as a human being, and then if I make that what I'm heading toward, then if correction's needed, I've got the tools and the understanding for achieving that goal that can be accomplished. The mind, once it's given an accurate goal, or we might even go further because goals are done with words, and words really don't capture it, but a vision. And you remember in the ancient teachings, they said, without vision, my people perish. When my mind is handed that vision, when I'm open to that higher mind of love, bringing in an experience that doesn't filter through my past, then my mind will tend to produce behavior prompts that support me experiencing the truth of who I am. And when I experience the truth of who I am, I get to understand what love actually means. Now, I've had people who don't get the distinction of those two refinements, and then it's just like, well, what does it matter? So let's imagine, let's use an example. Someone has a severe circulatory disorder, and they go to the doctor, and the doctor tells them they need a specific treatment to fix the problem with their cells. And you ask them which they're going to treat. They're told there's the epidermis, and then there are epithelial cells. Well, they sound pretty much the same, so what does it really matter? Epidermis, epithelial, well, it's just a few letters. if you work on the incorrect aspect of the body, then, if you don't make the distinction as to which one is accurate, the epithelial cells have to do with conducting blood, moving blood through the system. The epidermis is just the skin. So if you ask the doctor which one they're going to treat, and the doctor says, well, what does it matter? Not a big deal, just a few letters different. How long are you going to hang out with that doctor? So to get back to the truth of who we are as human beings, and to make this particular day a celebration where I'm willing to bring the truth of who I am to my relationship with you. We get clear that, no, I don't love you. No, you don't love me. And if utilize that word incorrectly, then we're going to tend to move into an experience. Our minds are going to be confused and move us into an experience that's different than what we really want. And of course, you listen to Yeshua 2,000 years ago, and he says, power of life and death is in our words. Words must be, relatively important. Vladimir Lenin, the man who's probably responsible for more deaths on planet Earth than any human being in history, said the way to destroy a culture is to change the meaning of its words. Becomes an extremely important distinction in refining our understanding of who we are as human beings. And of course, how many words is it going to take to describe what that presence of love is, what that human being is? I don't care how many you stack up in a book. It's never going to equal the experience of being who we are, or it's never going to give us an accurate definition. It can kind of speak around the edges of it, but the experiential definition we've come up with in this work is hold a newborn child. And when you hold a newborn, you realize the child's not loving you. The child is love. It's a state of being. And I'd offer that we set ourselves up for failure when we attempt to, quote unquote, love ourselves, instead of saying the goal to experience ourselves as love in every circumstance. And then when we can't do that, to forgive or remove anything unlike love that surfaces. And when we do that, the only thing left is this state of being, this state of love. If we go back to the Greek translation of Yeshua's words, love one another, that Greek degradation never came out of his mouth. If Yeshua sat and listened to somebody saying that, they'd say, that's all Greek to me. And forcing this Greek imposed meaning into Yeshua's mouth leaves us stuck in an error upon which most of our others rest, because we've lost awareness and the ability to function out of who we are because we've been misled by words. You can't do love. The command in Aramaic was be the presence of active love, and there's a world of difference between those two. One command leaves us striving to do, that is, to do the impossible, and the other, the Aramaics, explains something achievable. So I just hold the space for each of us to really, truly define and experience who we are as human beings, and recognizing that that word human being is a descriptor for this state of conscious, active, present love. And one of the other thoughts in A Course in Miracles that I enjoy is one that says, you need to hear the truth about yourself as frequently as possible, because your mind is so preoccupied with false self-images. So the truth about you is that you were conceived as love. As Dr. Tim says, it's the stuff we're made of, and it's the only thing that's true about us. And one of the reasons for the opening blank in the worksheet is to reinforce to yourself every time you engage in the forgiveness process and to support living in that space of active present love. Each worksheet starts with I, Michael, who am love. And here's some stuff I'm doing, but when I get down to the direct experience of who I am, my doing isn't what it's about. It's my being that's important. So that's my offering for Valentine's Day, holding the space for each and every one of us to experience ourselves as who we are and to truly function out of that state of being. Appreciation for the opportunity to interact with each and every one of you as the presence of love and to create support for each of us recognizing ourselves. So breathing with you, realizing who you are, realizing, making real who you are, bringing into expression this presence of love. And I wonder if that arouses any thoughts for anyone. If you're listening to the show on one of our syndicated stations, then we can't see you in our control panel and you can't talk directly to us. However, if you call the call-in number for the show, which is 563-999-3581, if you call that number, you'll be listening to the show directly. And then, if you push 1, we'll be having a conversation. So what's on your mind? How can we support you? 563-999-3581. Push 1, let's talk about it. Ms. Jeanie, do we have everybody in the phone queue with a hand up or anything happening in the chat room?
No, it is all quiet.
Where did all those callers go from yesterday? You had a whole lineup when we finished the show. Put your hand up now. Don't wait till the show's almost over. We're here for one reason only, and that's to support you. So push 1. Let's talk about it. What's on your mind?
I'll just, it just being,
go ahead, sweetie.
Being the day of love, it just made me think the other day I was getting ready to take Aria home, and Michael was on the phone with Patrick. And so she went in to hug Michael bye, and she heard him talking to Patrick, and she's like, "Are you Mount Pepal's friend?" And so Patrick talked to her for just a minute, and I said, ask him, tell him why we're here. And instead of telling him why we were here, she said, "Why are we here?" And of course, Patrick has heard us enough and knows enough and been in the work enough. He says, "We're here to be love." And she goes, "Yeah, you got it." Like, she was so excited that someone else knew it. And so I thought that was really cute. And we have her again tomorrow. And we had a hand just now go up.
Yeah. Jeanie had, actually it's been a couple of years ago, Jeanie bought me a tie. For the last years that I wore a suit and tie when we were on the road, and actually we were in Hawaii several years ago, and the chairman of the board of the Unity Center we were speaking in the second day of the workshop came in with the Hawaiian shirt in front of the whole group and said, "Take off your shirt, take off your jacket, take off your tie. Here, you're putting this on, and that's what you're going to wear for the rest of the week." Prior to that, literally for decades, if I got up in front of an audience, I always had a jacket and tie on. And that kind of shifted something for me. So since then, I've rarely worn a jacket and tie. However, Jeanie, I used to wear only ties with hearts on them, and Jeanie had bought me one that says "Be Love." And so I had found that tie, and Ari was going to come work in the garden with me, so I wore the "Be Love" tie out into the garden. It was interesting. She looked at it at 4 and was able to read it. And so it was "Be Love." So we're out in the garden, and I said, yeah, this is my "Be Love" tie, and I ended up tying it. We've got a little railing at the top of the steps when you come in the house, so now the "Be Love" tie hangs there, so when Arya comes over, it's just right there. She knows exactly what it is, so it's different ways of reinforcing it.
And she said, and it's cursive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she read it and said it was cursive, yeah.
And I'm going to
Awesome.
turn the other color on, and I'm actually trying
Let's
to
say hello.
upload a video to YouTube at the same time. So if you will give an okay on your phone, and I'm going to turn our color on.
Cool.
Thank you. So it's 541. I believe it's Miss Salida. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, young lady.
So how many times have you been cycling around the sun just now?
You know something? I don't know. I never let my mind go there. I think that's a very destructive thing to do. So eternal's the only answer that I know to that question.
Oh,
and I just don't let my mind go there.
I'll put that right next to your birth date. Eternal.
Eternal. There are certain words that trigger energy patterns, and oftentimes people say, well, how old is Aria? And they'll do a double take when I say she isn't. And they're kind of like, oh, what do you mean? She isn't old. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. So whenever my brain wants to go and figure out years, I just block it. I just don't go there, because it's a very deeply patterned mind energy that a lot of people have had, and it's been brainwashed in. I mean, they ask a child of 2, how old are you? It's like, what are you calling a child of 2 old for? That's implanting energy. So that's kind of where I stand with it. Yeah. So eternal's a good way to go.
How I've said it is, how young are you? So I go around and say, how young are you? So either one works for me.
Sweet.
And I get it, totally. I just want to thank you and Jeanie for this show that you are offering, and also Dr. Timms. I thanked him and Magda for their sharing on his show. And I'm going to send it off to my friends and siblings as a happy Valentine's Day love gift from this heart of love. Yeah, so I thought that was sweet. So I thought I'd let you all know. And that's pretty much all I have today, other than just added a new little jewel about eternity there. So we'll work with that.
Awesome. Very sweet. We appreciate you.
All right.
I especially appreciate the little gifts that you send to Aria. And she gets so excited when she gets a piece of mail.
And also, maybe you can text me, message me about Jeannie's birthday and Aria's birthday, so I can remember them on those days. That would be wonderful. Do you happen to know Tim Hayes' birthday? Text me that one too, otherwise I'll ask him too.
I don't know Tim's eternal day.
Okay, well, I'll find out. And I'm
but Ari is what, August 21st, Jeanie?
Oh, can you text it to me after the show? Because I won't remember it long enough.
All right, we'll do it.
Also, and I'm going to send you a 2-hour plus video of Christian Sundberg that Dr. Tim's been talking about. I think you would like it. I'll do that. Okay, that's it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, blessings.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Have a good day. Happy Valentine's Day. So once again, if you're out there in listener land, 563-999-3663. 3581. We couldn't catch up with all the callers yesterday, so if you're back on the line today, what was on your mind yesterday? Let's hear from you. Push 1. Let's have a conversation. We've got 20 minutes or so left, so we've got lots of time for conversation. While we're waiting for everybody to think about what they might have to say or share or ask questions about, we are looking at a Food and Forgiveness and Work program at Heartland, probably starting around the 8th or so of July for 16 days. And then looking at perhaps a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again residential intensive. If somebody's ready to join us for that, let us know. And then a PhD who teaches the Waldorf teaching method, the work of Rudolf Steiner. He's got a group that are going to be coming and using the center for 10 days to do a teacher type training in Waldorf education. So lots of different things happening at Heartland.
And that is a private group just for his group, correct?
Oh, yeah.
That's not open
Yes.
to listeners.
No. I think there might be if there's someone who's been engaged in the Waldorf education, I think there might be an opening for someone if they'd like to join. Although Danny he's taken, and I don't have all the brain cells to explain it, but he's taken some of the original work and the original thinking of Steiner, which doesn't necessarily go into most Steiner education, as I understand it. And I'm certainly, if I'm in error, I'm certainly willing to be supported in correction. But it's quite a different approach from what I understand to what most people do with Steiner education. So I don't really even have. I've been reading some of his book, but I really don't have the brain cells to adequately explain or define what the difference is. So 563-999-3581. If you're in the phone queue, put your hand up, say hello, especially if you were there yesterday and we missed you. And if, I'm kind of complete with the dialogue I had planned today. I thought we'd have more conversation in regard to experiencing ourselves and each other as the present. Oh, good, great. I'd rather do that than say, let's go shovel the compost. So.
Area code 760, I believe. It's Miss Ann.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Welcome, young lady. We haven't heard your voice in a while.
Thank you. I usually just get Dr. Tim's, and then, I was preparing something to eat and was ready to get going on something to eat, but then you started your talk on love, and it triggered something, and I go, okay, I'll just put it off like I usually do, and then, because I really need to eat, and so I started to take a couple bites, and then I go, all right, just go get your wake-up sheet and sit down and call. So when you were talking about, there was a sentence in there, hey, I'm breathing. There was a sentence in there that talked about pain, and the pain, it kind of just came out of nowhere, because I was doing things, to take care of myself yesterday and feeling good about it, and then it's like when you started talking about that, it's like clearly I have some more work to do on this issue, which, okay, anyway, when I was younger, like so many of us that are in this community, we needed that affection, and we thought we needed that affection from our parents, and in this case, my mom. And I didn't get the touch, and my dad wasn't available. He was off in the Coast Guard, whatever. And anyway, so I need to put in, I'm Ann, and I am feeling pain because I am conflicted it to when I was at my babysitter's. I mean, she was babysitting me, but then I was watching her kids as I got older. And
Right.
the thought specifically, and I've dealt with this before, so again, I thought I had dealt with it, but I wouldn't have been triggered by what you were saying if I didn't need another level
Right.
of healing.
Must be at a new level of vitality.
Yes. I would spank when one of the younger children, really younger than me, one of her two girls, when she did something wrong, I would spank her, and then I would comfort her. And my thought was that later on, after I've been, a part of your work and things like that, one of the wake-up sheets I thought I did, well, not I did, but then I don't know where it is. I did it so that I would be able to comfort that child because I wasn't getting it. I mean, now I'm realizing because I wasn't getting it, that was my premise. Because, then I got to comfort her. Oh, it's okay, but you just don't need to do that anymore. I had no parenting skills. I mean, I was probably, I don't know, junior high age maybe.
Right.
Anyway, so when you were talking about the love, clearly I didn't have that intimacy. I didn't have that touch. And so I went and did this act, this behavior on this child that then I would be able to comfort,
Right.
and it's
Right.
like that's what I wanted for myself, and I wasn't getting it.
It's an interesting dynamic to uncover.
I want to put this in the wake-up sheet. So I'm Anne, who am love and experiencing pain. So the pain, is that something I can put in that space? Identify my emotion. My pain was just.
Can you be more specific? Is it grief? Is it sadness? Is it what? Is it more specific than just pain?
No, the pain was, I guess, was more. The pain was more physical, I guess, because it was like a shot to my heart. Because we were talking about, here it is, Valentine's heart, and it's like, So it's got to be really deep sadness that I didn't get what I wanted. So
sounds like perhaps some self-condemnation that was opened up around this event of self-judgments and guilt,
judgment,
perhaps.
Yeah. So maybe it sounds like another layer of guilt. So maybe the pain
that's
is
what
more,
it sounds like. That.
Yeah.
And guilt, tied in with some grief.
Yes.
A part of you that realizes it could have been something quite different with this child, and that your being would have liked to have offered, but you didn't know any better.
Yeah, because listening to how you work with Aria and everything, and it would have been nice to have had those comments, and yes, it would have been different, like you said. Had I had that upbringing, I would have been treating her differently if she did, something she wasn't
for sure
supposed to be doing. Okay, so my story, my reality is that, and I like to use my full name, and Charlotte was feeling guilty that she did something that really wasn't appropriate. My story is the act that I did, right? My story is that.
That sounds like it, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Now it sounds like a Hydra worksheet in that you've uncovered still a different aspect of it. So I'd do that other worksheet around the way you treated her. That it might be beneficial to write her a letter, whether you ever sent it or not, secondary, but to write her a very personal letter about, and just, do it kind of like a mind shifter, and just let your mind, rather than censor it or think about it, just do some free flow writing of everything around that series of events with that child?
Okay, because when you just touched on that one thing, it's because I never, I always wanted to apologize to her, because there were these two sisters. I can't even remember if she's alive now, but I connected with her, and I couldn't remember which sister it was. So it's like, okay. So I think I've never written, so I'm getting the sense that I would write an apology.
Yes.
To how
yes. Explaining to her, and explain, I kind of make it a dual letter. I'd make it a letter to her, but I'd make it a letter to my younger self as well.
Mm-hmm.
And just let your, the veil of your temple open, and just let everything flow out onto the page about yourself in that situation, about, what you want from Dad, what that felt like, what that experience was. I just, it kind of, it's like soup. I've got some potatoes, and I got some carrots, and I got some beans, and they're all cooked together. I can't pull the carrots and the soup, the potato and the beans out of the soup. It's all one thing now. But my sense is that if you let yourself write that, you'll kind of unravel the pieces and be able to see the different aspects of it that come together when they resonate to create this level of pain. When you think about, you're now probably about 49 or 50. So it's a few decades ago. When you think about how imminent the pain is of that, that's a pretty important piece of work to do.
I know, and it's like my second thought, and I agree with you, that because my hand is shaking as I'm writing my notes, is that I went and did something for myself yesterday. Spent a good amount of money, but ordered some Amish-made furniture, which is going to take a while because the Amish are, they don't have a timeline anyway.
Right.
And I'm feeling really good about that last night, right? But then all of a sudden, when you were talking, this came up, and I'm going, okay, clearly I didn't feel as good about doing something for myself that I thought, because that was the second thing that came up. Oh, wait. I'm not feeling good about myself to have done that, and yet I did it. And so, anyway, but I think you're right. I think just because my hand was shaking as I was writing these notes, I go, okay, there's the whole with this free flow thing. I think it's going to be very productive, because
this is a big piece of work. Yes.
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to apologize, and then I'm apologizing to myself. Yeah, I agree.
And you can call her into your space, even though, as you say, you're not sure she's even alive, but you can, metaphorically call her into your space and talk to her directly about, and address her directly with your apology as well. But I do the writing first, because I think you're gonna find it's gonna move in many directions and just unravel a whole ball of wax that will really shift the way you carry out your day, the way you feel in your day. When you unload these dynamics, it's going to be a major in your life.
Yeah, because I was even feeling bad that I took some time to go work on a jigsaw puzzle with my neighbor, because I gave it to her because it was a really difficult puzzle, and it's like, okay, I took that time, and I'm socializing, and it's like, oh, and I have all these other things to do, and I have, this and this and this and this, and then I'm putting it all off, but I've been putting off doing the work as well, this work, so I'm waking up, clearly. The deeper level.
Well,
okay, yes.
It sounds like it ties in with, how some of these old thought disorders have inhibited your ability to receive. Your deserving, which is another aspect of it, that as you clear it out, you'll see more and more that you deserve things that will fulfill you and that will bring you delight and pleasure and joy in the doing, in the expression. That perhaps because you carry these thought disorders about self and what you don't deserve because of it, as you let go of them, you'll see that you deserve much more than you've been giving yourself.
Credit for. And there's that word, credit for. I was finishing that because it was always about getting credit. You know, I needed to get credit. And for this,
keeping
for that,
score.
Yes.
That's a powerful insight.
Right.
That's awesome.
Well, and thank you for that. I mean, it's just like the thought came to me about how you guys watch the movies, and it's like, oh, great. So now Michael is giving this beautiful dissertation on love, and it's triggering me for the opposite. And I go, that's okay. That's all right. Go with it.
That's,
right?
That's the idea of a mind shifter. That's what they're for. To bring it up and, stir it up so that you get to look at it and work through it. You don't have to carry that around, What happens is that, we're designed to live in a feeling tone of delight and aliveness and joy. That's what the human is designed for. And we hold ourselves out of that by these thought disorders about self, about life, that dampen and shut down what we're really designed for. And as you forgive those things, as you remove those things, then just your daily feeling tone is going to move upward, up the scale to just whole new levels that previously your mind probably told you weren't possible.
Yes.
Good breath.
I've been, because it answers, I've been up and down with the emotions, and so I'll turn on jazz because jazz brings up the joy in me, delaying what I should be doing about getting to the front of things. But it kind of answers that question of the up and down and the in and out emotionals, and, one day having great on track with nutrition, on track with working out, on track, and then the next day just fall apart. And it's like, okay, I really want to be done with this, but I know we still have work to do all along. But
and notice when you do get on track, you reach a new level of vitality, and a new level of vitality, you get to access new layers that need to be healed. And that sounds like exactly what you've been doing. And so be gentle with yourself if you find yourself, you're doing everything right nutritionally and you're eating real food and such, and then all of a sudden you turn to junk and you realize, oh, there's something moving. Be gentle with yourself and taking care of yourself and let yourself move through that. And, if the desire for junk is so strong, it's like, I just have to do it, then bless it and enjoy it. And then go on to the next level of vitality, the next piece of work.
Okay, so then that kind of answers my question about, because I slid back in. I had a full month of no television, absolutely none, because I had another opportunity when I went to visit my daughter about, being off of TV because they don't have the TV on, or regular channels, cable or anything. But
right.
And I came back and I did really good, and then I just fell off, and it's like, okay, I went back to my old pattern, and so then of course, then I'm feeling bad, and so I'm up and down with, okay.
Next layer of forgiveness.
Right.
You're right on track.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're down to the last few seconds. The show is going to cut us off. So keep us posted on what's moving and what's opening. And if you need any support, you know where we are.